taking your valuable time attending this. We all welcome you for today's session. As you all know that this program we named it as Spiritual Highway. What is highway? Highway is main road, right? Highway is a main road. So our journey on the main road will be always smooth, no? And we know we know this. We have this state highways, national highways, right? So we are very sure that no, if we go on that highway, on that main road, we'll definitely reach to our destination. So here in our journey of the spiritual highway, as we name our course, we are on the highway on the day of third session of our journey, right? So hopefully we'll, by the end of this journey, we will reach our destination, that is our spirituality, our reaching to the Lord, right? Thank you once again for all of you for joining us this morning, and then we all welcome you for this third session. Today's session is tips to overcome. So prior, before we start that, we would like to offer our prayers, our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada is our founder and Acharya of our ISKCON organization. Not only that, he is the savior. He is the savior of the human society in the present age of Kali Yuga, right? So very lucidly, very, very simple, very relevant things he has given us, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita which Krishna has given within a simple form to us, so that we can apply those teachings in our day-to-day life in a very simple way. Wherever we are, however we are, no matter where we are situated, we can easily apply those teachings of Prabhupada. So let's humbly pray our obeisances to our dear Srila Prabhupada. I'll say the prayer. After that, please repeat after me. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna. Having taken shelter of His lotus feet, our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, who kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Dev and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. Now we'll pray our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As you can see on the screen, there is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is Nityananda Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Gadadhara, Srivasa, and remaining all. So we'll pray our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. And our Yoga Dharma Maha Mantra, we will chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now we'll pray our obeisances to Sri Guru Parampara, Sri Guru Parana. Om Ajnanatimirandha. So you can chant along with me, do prayers along with me. The same on the screen. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of knowledge. So if Guru wasn't there and he doesn't give this knowledge to us, we'll be still suffering in the ignorance, we'll be still suffering in the darkness. It's by the mercy of the Guru and it's the mercy of the spiritual master only we receive the knowledge. So all the time when we are, even for the matter of the material education, spiritual education, the relationship between the teacher and Guru should be, all the time respectful. Once the Shishya or the disciple is in a respectful mood, pays obeisances to Guru, and then serve him, and then inquire him. There is a process how a student should approach a Guru. Then only the merciful Guru will impart the knowledge. It's not knowledge. Many people think nowadays that Google is there, like we can open and read it out. So only information you get, but there is no transformation. When Guru is there, when he mercifully imparts the knowledge for us, then there is a transformation for us. So all the time when we are, whenever we are approaching a Guru, a spiritual master, so we should be praying humble obeisances to him. With this prayer clearly says that this particular spiritual master would remove all the ignorance, all the darkness in us. Okay, so next prayer. So we'll pray to our Acharya in the Parampara, Sri Rupa Goswami. This is Rupa Goswami Pranama Mantra. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Supadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Mangalacharan. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrashatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakanvitamscha. Again we have our Prabhupada's prayer repeated, so we'll do it once again. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Veshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are going to dedicate all our sessions, this Gita course, to our beloved A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder and Acharya of ISKCON Society. Okay. So here we are today on our third session, Tips to Overcome Sufferings. So prior to going to our third session, I would like to know how many of you are for the first time coming here? Only one. Okay, good. So rest all were there for the past two sessions. Okay, so we'll quickly summarize the past two sessions for the benefit of the new people who have come. So they'll just have a quick recap, and people who have already attended, it would be like a quick recap and kind of a revision. So what we were doing in the past, we started actually our journey with the secret of happiness, right? So in the secret of happiness, we began with our discussion on the first session was completely around like now where to find the true happiness, and we also found that each one of us looking happiness in a wrong place. Now we were finding we are trying to look happiness at a temporary thing. So we may be having lot of things in our possessions, like we may be having fame, we may be having money, we may be having education, we may be having friends, relatives and all. But all of them at the end of the day, they do completely give happiness to us? The answer is no, right? Sometimes. So at the end of the day, they all add up as zeros to us. But once that one if we add before the zeros, The one is nothing but the spirituality. So if we add that one, I mean, how many ever zeros we have in our life, they all get valued. No? We have a nice education, we have nice money, we have a nice car, we have nice relatives, we have nice friends, we have everything good. But at the end of the day, they are not making us happy. What is making happy is the spirituality, connection with the Lord. So when we add that one, all these zeros have got a value, right? How many of our zeros are having in our life? When we add that one, 100, 1,000, 10,000, lakh. So it's getting added up to our value. So the first class we were discussing about that. We also discussed about the quick background of Bhagavad Gita. How did Bhagavad Gita come into picture? How did Bhagavad Gita was spoken? And we discussed about the how the war was inevitable between the Kauravas and Pandavas. So in that first session we also discussed that everyone were assembled in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where everyone, for that matter, everyone was in an anxiety. Even Dhritarashtra, Arjuna, Duryodhana, everyone was anxiety. So that's where when Dhritarashtra was in anxiety, he started asking the question to Sanjaya. The first verse of Bhagavad Gita starts with that we have discussed. Like that's how he was coping up with his anxiety. We also saw how Duryodhana was coping up with his anxiety by, he was strategizing, he was manipulating his gurus, and thereby he was trying to find a success. So whether he was successful or not, we were seeing that in the session number 2, key to success, right? So we also found that in the second session that how many of our material positions, Duryodhana was abundant with his material positions. You name the luxury, you name the comforts what he had, none other possessed, but still he clearly, boldly failed, completely failed all the material possessions even though he had. In that session only we discussed like we all are undergoing 3 types of sufferings. Anybody remember what kind of 3 types of sufferings we had? The last session we discussed. Very good. Adhyatmika. Very nice, very nice, very nice. So, Adhyatmika, Adhibhautika, Adhidhaivika. Adhyatmika. Atmika means within us. So, we are suffered within us. How we are suffered within us? Conflicts within us. So, we ourselves have a lot of conflicts caused by our own mind. Our own body causes suffering. So, we are sometimes diseased, ill. So, that is Adhyatmika. Adhyatmika means sufferings caused by our own body and mind. Adi Bhautika, sufferings caused. Bhautika. Bhautika means external. Adhyatmika. Atmika means within. Bhautika means external. With the troubles, sufferings caused by external entities. Many. We all the day often we get sufferings from our own relatives or friends or many people. That's okay. Thank you. It's a mercy of the Lordships, so that I can speak. Here I am actually Lord wants to speak to all of you, and He is passing this message through me. So I'm just an instrument. I would pray to Lord to inspire all of you to come into the spiritual path in this first journey. Thank you so much again. Yeah, so we were discussing Adhibhautika. So Adhibhautika, the sufferings given to us by the external entities, be it like friends, relatives, anybody for that matter, even that for that matter, the small mosquito, that can even actually cause sufferings to us. And the other one, the last one we have is Adhidhaivika. Adhidhaivika is the distress caused by the devatas, or the natural calamities. So all this, one or the other way, in this world we are suffering. Nobody can claim that I'm completely free from all the miseries. If they are so, they are actually cheating themselves. So yeah. So we discussed about the 3 types of suffering. We also discussed how we can find the real success in the last class, what Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita. We can find real success when we have a steady mind and a spiritual intelligence. Did we discuss that point, right? Steady mind. So, most of the time the problems caused for us is with Adhyatmika. So, we are terribly troubled with the mind, with our own mind. So, Krishna says, first addresses very intellectually, he says the problem. Bhagavad Gita, very wonderful book. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives the problem and he also gives the solution. So he said, like, these are the problems you are having and these are the solutions. So he said, like, first you have to study the mind. When you make your mind steady, then all of the problems, most of the problems what we face would be reduced. But how to study the mind is only when you have the spiritual intelligence. So in order to do the spiritual intelligence, what should we do? We discussed in the last class. There were, a formula was given. Does anybody remember the formula given? ABCD, very good. Yeah, is association of with the devotees or the, yes. Books are the basis. Very nice. Chanting Hare Krishna. Diet, very nice. Diet and deity worship. So when we do this consistently in our life, we can fix our intelligence. We can spiritually nourish our intelligence. When intelligence is nourished, our mind gets stabilized. Our mind gets steady. But then we also discussed in the previous session about, how Arjuna getting depressed. We also discussed the last part of the previous session was how Arjuna was getting depressed. How Arjuna was getting depressed, we shown 4 points there. Can anybody?
Due to compassion.
Very nice, Mataji.
He thought he won't get any enjoyment by killing their own family members. Then he thought it's a simple reaction and tradition.
Very nice. Very nice points, Mataji. Thank you. So, Arjuna was mentioning, he was actually trying to avoid the war and he is giving the reasons, and he mentioned all these points thinking that Krishna would appreciate. Yeah, you're right, let's end the war. But that's not the case. Krishna said, don't act too smart. And everyone was suffering. Here, if you see here, the suffering part, when we see, even Duryodhana was suffering, even Arjuna was suffering. So today, in our session, tips to overcome of sufferings, how these sufferings, we'll find the root cause. What is the root cause for our sufferings? Okay. So we'll discuss quite on those root cause parts. We have attachment, we have attitude of comparison, we do some wrong acts. And these are the main topic of discussion for today's session of tips for overcoming the suffering, and we'll do the practical tips for the day. So what are the causes of suffering? So yeah, like I mentioned, like last class also, how Duryodhana was materially success, but still he suffered and failed badly, and like in the previous slide we have categorized the 3 root causes for suffering of the material world. So we'll in the coming slides we will deeply discuss about each one of those. So causes of suffering was, first thing is attachment to the temporary things, attitude of comparison, and commitment to the wrong acts. Right? So attachment. So what causes the attachment? What's wrong if being an attachment? See, Duryodhana was also suffering and Arjuna was also suffering for their own reasons. Duryodhana was suffering, for the temporary things. See, here the attachment is mainly referring to the temporary things. When we get attached to the temporary things, this is very nice, beautiful slide. Many of us are working. We can easily relate this to us. We work hard like a tortoise for first 31 days. and the salary comes on the last day, 31, and it runs away like the rabbit. We have more expenses. Hardly we have that money even 1 or 2 days, or maybe even a week. That's so very nice, picture it is depicted here. Yeah, those apart. So, so first thing is like we get attached to the temporary things, and that is the main cause of our pain. Attached to the temporary things, like if I give an analogy, let's say a friend of mine or a friend of yours comes and gives you 1 lakh rupees. Say, keep this 1 lakh rupee with you. Another week, in a week or 10 days, I'll come and collect. So that is first one scenario. Second scenario is somehow suddenly you got a lottery and you won 1 lakh, and then 1 lakh after receiving 1 lakh you have made a multiple plans out of it. Yeah, this 1 lakh I'll spend this way, I'll go to this restaurant, or I'll go to this vacation, something you planned, and within a week all those money got stolen. So in which scenario you will feel pain? The first scenario or the second scenario? First scenario, your friend gave money and after 1 week he took back his money. Second scenario, you got your money and then it got stolen. So in which scenario you feel pain? Louder please, I'm not. Second scenario. Why? Why? It's a friend money. First scenario, friend's money. Friend gave money to keep it with you for some time. And yeah. So you are well aware. You are well aware that this particular money does not belong to me. This belongs to my friend. One or the other day, he's gonna take. And it's natural. You are aware of that situation, and you are prepared for it. So when he takes money, you don't feel any pain. Yeah, he already said it's his money and he has taken away. I don't have to bother. Second thing, a lottery come and it has come. You felt that this is my money, and you made a lot of plans out of it. Like if I get one lakh, I'll spend here. You made a lot of plan. So what you have done there, you got attached to it, and when you lost that money, you really get pain out of it, right? So first thing is the attachment to the temporary things. Is attachment wrong? Isn't it? Reading that into hang screen. Oh. This attachment is wrong. No, attachment is not wrong, but getting attached to the temporary things is wrong. Another analogy is all the time given. For example, you are traveling to a long distance, for example, a Delhi or some long distance where you are 2 to 3 days journey you have to do in the train. Okay, do you go and decorate that train berth which is allocated to you nicely with nice flowers, balloons, thinking that this is my place? And do you do that even if they are there for 2 to 3 days? No, right? Because 2 to 3 days after third day I have to get down here. So the awareness, this is temporary. This journey is temporary. So when you are aware of that knowledge when you have, you don't get pain, right? So things also, spiritual knowledge when we are getting, the spiritual knowledge gives you that awareness. And the spiritual knowledge says that attachment to the temporary things is the cause for the pain. So where you have to attach? Where you have to attach? Attach to the permanent things. What is the permanent thing? That's Krishna. Okay. So we are eternal. Krishna is eternal. When we attach to Krishna, there is no harm. Okay. So lessons from Bhagavad Gita. So yeah. So Duryodhana's cause of suffering was he was out of fame. He was behind name. He was behind power. He was behind the money. Everything. So those are temporary. And although he wanted more. And there, the cause for his suffering was attachment to those temporary things. But coming to the second point of Arjuna's case, where Arjuna gave and put an argument. The first reason he gave was compassion, right? Compassion. Like, how can I punish my own people? How can I kill my own friends, relatives, grandfathers, grandparents, my teachers? It's right, right? The compassion. Compassion is right. No, he's not wrong. He's not attached there. But he is showing, do you think it's correct or wrong? Showing compassion at that time is correct. Gratitude, right? What's wrong he did? Why Krishna asked to go? No, you have to fight. Why did Krishna said? But whatever the arguments, like last session we have seen the 4 points what he happened, exactly correct. At this level of time when we think, have compassion to the fellow beings, enjoyment, simple reaction. Killing so many people is a simple reaction. And killing the family heads means all the family rituals will go down. When the head of the family is killed, the children, the women will suffer. So all those reasons which Arjuna has put is a valid thing. Why didn't Krishna consider them? Why? I mean, this particular point, Arjuna, where first argument, I cannot punish my own people. And it is saying attachment. Why is it wrong?
Because they were following Adharma and it was his duty to kill them and bring back the health.
Right. So how to understand this attachment at that level? I'll just say a small story. One time what happens is an elderly man in the sense in a village. This man finishes all his morning regular duties and then he's relaxed, aram se he sits in his corridor. And when we are alone, we'll think a lot of things, right? We'll engage in our thoughts. So he's very much blissful and he is thinking good things. So suddenly he hears some chaos going on, a lot of people shouting around. So he just turns around and he sees very far a small child is a 10 or 11 years child is chased by 3-4 people, elderly people with some sticks and all. So it is clearly understood that he is holding something. So it is clearly understood, but he is not able to identify. It's very far, but the shoutings were heard to him. So he was able to, it is clearly understood that the child is stealing something and the people are behind him to give a punishment. So this person is sitting here. See how these children are brought up these days. Parents are not taking care. This kind of children should be punished very severely. So if we are not going to punish today, they are going, after becoming they will become a big dacoits. So it's better we punish them and correct them now only. And he thinks that way, and that the child would actually run away from the next road and people will be following up. After a few minutes, what happens is this child would actually come into his home and then close the door, his own door, enters into this man's house and he closes the door. Actually, he is the child of this person. He is the kid of this person, this elderly person who is sitting. So immediately he thinks, Hare, my child is very innocent. How can the people punish him? Maybe he would have stolen out of curiosity or out of something he wanted. But how can this elderly people can punish him so harshly? What happened now? What happened now? The situation is same. He was the same person. The boy was the same. What changed earlier? Okay. Sorry. Okay. So what was the change? What was the scenario changed there? No? The same thing. He was the person who was thinking that the person should be punished. He's doing something wrong act, he should be severely punished. The moment he came to know that he is his own child, he forgot about that and he started saying, my child should not be punished. So what happens is the attachment, when the attachment comes, you would forget the responsibilities. You would forget what is right and wrong. So Arjuna was doing the same. Arjuna was prohibiting the conduct of his responsibility as a leader. So as a leader, Mataji told, you have to correct the things. They are doing the sinful activity, although they are their own kinsmen, own friends and relatives, gurus. But they were on the wrong side, adharma side, and they were doing the wrong acts. So they have to be punished. But when the attachment came on a wrong person on a wrong time. Arjuna's cause of suffering was on that level. So he was actually doing compassion at a wrong place. So Krishna refuted by using Sankhya Yoga in the second chapter. Sankhya Yoga, he gave a Sankhya philosophy in the second chapter where he clearly told that where how to deal with this attachment. So what is temporary on the platform of you should be acting on the platform of permanent. So in the second chapter, Krishna gives Sankhya philosophy where he clearly distinguishes between the matter and the soul. What is a temporary and a permanent. So here we get a beautiful concept of, or a beautiful subject of, interesting subject of body and soul in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says what is temporary, what is permanent. So change of a body is natural. So this is particular shloka in the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, 13th shloka. Dehino asmin yata dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuhyate. As the embedded soul continuously passes in the body from boyhood to youth to the old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such change. So here, a very beautiful instruction Krishna gives that in the present life itself, you are changing so many bodies. Any person who says that, there are people who says that there is ek hi zindagi hai, you got this one life, enjoy. After that, who knows where you are? Or you may be destroyed. There are some philosophies which says that with the body you are destroyed. So for those kind of people who believe in such kind of philosophies, this is very, very beautiful shloka which Krishna says, or beautiful instruction Krishna says. In the present life itself, you are changing so many bodies. When you are an infant, you had a small body. When you are grown up, teenagers, you have got a 10 years old body. Where was that body? Where was that infant body gone? And what is that you are remembering? You are still remembering what all happened, right? It's not that with the change of the body you are also changing. So what is there? Something which is within you, which is permanent, which is not constantly changed. That is soul, dehi. So body can change. Body would be changing every 7 years. Scientifically it is proven that every 7 years each cell of your body gets changed completely. Your total body is changed. Every 7 years all the cells in your body die and you totally get a new body. So here you can see the example of a Mahatma Gandhi's pictures. How he was when he was kid, when he was teenager, when he was in his youth, when he was in his middle age and in his old, the same person. Only when the photographs are there we can recognize. But otherwise you cannot. I was not like this. When 10 years before I was looking much more younger, much more beautiful, much more. As the body, as the age passes, body deteriorates. And we will discuss more deeply into this component of body today. Body has two components. We all think that the gross body which we are seeing is the only body. We most of the time don't even realize that there is something which is inside called soul. So first thing to discuss on, the body has two components. One is a gross body, another one is a subtle body. So gross body is made up of these 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. So what is a gross body? Gross body, we have sorry, Mataji? It's made up of Panchabhutas, but our gross body, if you analyze also, gross body composes of Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. What are Jnanendriyas? Senses. Nice, nice. What are Karmendriyas? Legs, yes, hands. Correct. So we are, this body composed of Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. Jnanendriyas are the knowledge gaining senses through which we gain knowledge, right? We have two eyes, a pair of nose, a pair of ear, a nose, and a tongue, and then a skin. So these are the knowledge gaining senses through which we get knowledge. We gain the knowledge. We see a beautiful picture. We see something ugly. So we differentiate. This is the knowledge we are getting from the outside world. We smell something very sweet. We smell something dirty. So we came to know. So this is how, these are the knowledge gaining senses: the skin, the tongue, the nose, the ears, and the eye. So these are knowledge gaining senses. And karmendriyas, through which we do our actions. Karma means actions. So what are those? Like Mataji rightly said, two pairs of hands, through legs. Through hands we touch the things, through legs we walk, through mouth we eat, we speak, and then through genitals, through genitals we procreate, and through rectum we excrete, right? So these are the functions, they are carried out. So we use these Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas to consists of, the gross body consists of these two. So, and these gross body is made up of the 5 elements which is there in this universe. We are not made up of any other different alien elements or components. Whatever you find in this universe, the earth, water, fire, air, ether, these are the elements with which our gross body is made up of. So quick understanding: ether, the sound. So first row you can see the sound, touch, all these are sense objects and senses. So ear, and then air. So air, we can actually, in the ether the sound travels, and then the sense object or the sense which can hear the sound is ear. The next comes after the ether, the air. Air, how can you perceive the air? Through touch. So the sense object is touch, and the sense is skin. So after the air comes the fire. Fire element is the vision. You can see the fire. Air you can't see, but fire you can see. Fire has both air, the air also it is there, ether is also there, air. So this next level. So fire would actually, you can see with your eyes, and the sense object is vision, and the sense is eye. Furthermore, if you go, it's water. Water has both, you can actually touch, you can taste, and the sense object is taste, and the sense is tongue. Earth, the furthermore element is the smell and nose. This is how our indriyas, our jnanendriyas are formed. Beyond this, which we don't even perceive, which Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we have the subtle body. How many of us know that we have subtle body until now? Very nice. Only few. All of us, we would be thinking at the gross body level. We don't even realize that we have the subtle body. The subtle body consists of mind, intelligence, and false ego. Right? So what is mind, what is intelligence, what is false ego, we'll discuss. But then we need to understand in this particular diagram, if you see how a gross body, material body, further inside if you go, the soul is actually covered by the subtle bodies. That is, both subtle bodies and the gross body are the material energies, and the soul is the spiritual energy. Right? Any confusion here? They belong to, soul is belonging to the spiritual world and the spiritual energy, a spark of the spirituality. So until that particular soul is there in your body, the body is animated. The moment this spiritual spark leaves this body, the body becomes inanimated, right? So in the last class also we have discussed about this chariot. Now this is very important, beautiful thing to understand. Now, how these, last time, like Mataji also told, this is the same picture, the five indriyas are like five horses. Each one horse represents to the one indriya, and the lenses which is holding the horses are the mind, manas, and the higher intellectual is the person who can hold these lenses is the intelligence, buddhi, and the person who is the passenger who is sitting in the chariot is atma, the soul. So what's wrong in this? What's wrong if every sense wants to enjoy? What is the harm? These senses are given to us to enjoy only, right? And what is the harm? We are saying they are dangerous, Your eyes are given to see the beautiful things. Ears are given to us to hear beautiful, pleasant songs, music. But what's wrong? How these indriyas would make you slave, or how these indriyas would cause destruction, it is said in the scriptures. So each indriya represents one animal in the nature, how they are weakened with that particular sense and how they get destroyed. The fire moths will be there. Fire moths, you all see during the rainy season the fire moths, right? So fire moths' weakness is the vision. So they see the fire, they get attracted, they know, if they go near to the fire, they will die. In summer, in winter, in rainy season, we all see, under the tube light or near the fire, all fire moths are fell down because they are irresistible. When they see the bright things, they go near to it, they die there itself. So scripture says, one animal are weak of that particular sense. Fire moth is the, weak of eyes, vision. Similarly, deer. So weakness is nice song. How do you know how a deer is captured? How a person who captures the deer, they would just play a beautiful flute. The deer gets attracted, and it goes nearby, and it hears that particular flute and becomes stand still. So it's so much engrossed in the music that it gets completely stand still over there, and the deer catcher would come and catch it out. So the weakness of a deer is ear. So it is badly succumbed by its vision, indriya of ears. Similarly, the nose, the musk deer also. The musk deer itself carries musk in its tummy, and the more it smells, it roams around. It roams around where is this beautiful smell is coming, and then it lands up in a place where it cannot come back. That is the weakness of the musk deer. Another thing is Brahmar. They also give an example of Brahmar. We all know this Brahmar. I don't know what we call that. But then, sorry? Bumblebee, correct. Thank you, Mataji. So this bumblebee actually, it's so much engrossed with the smell of the flowers, lotus flowers. And this bumblebee is so strong that it can pierce the strong wood also it can pierce and go up. And you see the lotus petals, they are the softest petals which has on the flower, on the earth. So lotus petals are very soft. It gets engrossed with the smell of that lotus, and then it sticks onto that lotus petal and enjoys that. At the end of the day, when sun closes down, the petals comes closer. Still, it will not be able to go out of, because it is so much, attached. It must so much got engrossed with that. And then, so it is very difficult for it to come out of it. If it wants, it can come out of it, can make a hole and come out of it. It don't want it. It got succumbed to its sense. Similarly, touch is for fish. Fish also, how it gets engrossed. Where you put an earthworm, and the fishes come, then they stick to that the nail of this fish needle, and that's how they get trapped. So touch of how does the elephants get caught? Elephants' weakness is touch. it's very difficult to catch the he elephants. It's very difficult. But how does they catch the he elephants? Is they train the she elephant, and they actually dig a big pit, and over that they cover a lot of grass and all. So they train the she elephant that it just rubs the he elephant, and this he elephant gets maddened with that touch and runs behind that she elephant and falls into the pit. And after that they would fast this elephant for so many months or so many days. They don't give food. Only after few months they would give one banana. One person comes and give one banana or one, and they become so slave to that one person. Actually, if elephant wants to kill, a 6-foot person is a very small thing to the elephant, but it becomes slave because he is providing the food. So this is how an elephant is called. So Shastras give the reference of different creatures which are, succumbed by the one indriya, which are weakness of those creatures, and how they get destruction. For us only, elephant's weakness is only touch, and a deer's weakness is only ears. But for us, being human beings, panchendriyas, what we have, all these 5 jnanendriyas are completely active, and we are weakened by everything. We can simply get succumbed to any of these things. So until and unless your mind is, and mind is the rinse. It's always understand, mind is just a repository. It just thinks, whatever you are seeing, whatever you are perceiving, it gets captured. It gets a snapshot of it and it keeps in your head, in your brain. Whereas intelligence is the deciding factor, which is right, which is wrong. And if the intelligence is stronger enough, it can control all these senses and this mind. But if the intelligence is like a henpecked husband, and mind is compared like a wife, if wife takes a control over a henpecked husband, then everything destruction starts, right? Similarly, if mind takes control over the intelligence, we are doomed. And each senses, if mind is like, that mother whose children are, mother should be also strong. If mother is not strong, children, whatever they ask, if mother starts giving it, every child, every kid would be taking you in a different direction. So similarly, a mind is like a mother, father is like an intelligence, and all these indriyas are like a child. If children are not corrected properly, if the mother is not strong and father of the family is not strong, you can imagine how that family would be. It's not at all disciplined, right? Similarly here, if the senses are not controlled by the intelligence, our journey will be very, disastrous in this world. So third element is false ego. We have discussed about mind, we have discussed about intelligence, the subtle body, and the third subtle body is a false ego. False ego is one which makes us think, makes us forget that we are a soul. It always keeps us reminding that you are a body. So false is ahankara, mithya ahankara they say, right? Ahankara, aham means I, my own relatives. And at the bodily level, where you are connecting at the body level. But you keep forgetting that you are a soul, everyone is a part and parcel of the Lord here, and everyone is a soul here. So that thing, it will make you forget, and it will make you not to accept the truth. It's difficult to give up certain things in our life, it will not make you give up certain things. So in this picture you see a person is actually hanging up, and this diagram, in this picture you see a person is actually hanging up, and then Krishna, the devotees are helping. They are offering the hand, please come, we are going to help you. But the false ego is so strong for him that, he is not ready to accept it. See, Paramatma, who is a super soul, who is situated in each one of our heart. He is there within and he is there outside also. He is sitting within our, guiding us Paramatma in our own heart, and as a scriptures, as through devotees, he is helping us in the externally also, outside also. There in everyone's heart, he is there in the scriptures, he is there in the also. But we don't put an effort to come to the devotees, or we don't put effort to read Bhagavad Gita or this knowledge. So finally, what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that how you treat this body. Body is like Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hrideshta Arjuna Stishtati Brahmanya Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudani Mayayah. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wandering of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made up of material energy. So Krishna is saying that I am the one who is seated in everyone's heart and directing them. Okay? And this body is given is just like a machine. So it is clearly saying in Bhagavad Yantra Rudani Mayayaha. Yantra means a machine. So this body is just like a machine for you to do a journey. This lifespan of 50, 60, 70, 80 years, whatever is given, you are doing a journey. So this is a vehicle to you. So finally, Bhagavad Gita body is said that body is destructible. So we all learned that body is temporary, soul is permanent, and we have to change the body, just like how we change the clothes. Dehino asmin yata dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara. So how we are changing the bodies, how we when we wear clothes, and when the clothes get torn off, when they become old, what we do? We wear up a new clothes, right? Similarly, when the body becomes old, when the body becomes unused, so what happens? The material nature gives you another dress, another body to continue your journey. And how do you get that body, next body? Based upon our karma and desires. And how do you get that karma? With the actions what you are doing in the present life. And how do you get desires? Desires is the more important. Desire is the one factor which helps you to get the next body. How do you get desire? So desires are stored in the subtle bodies, mind, intelligence and false ego. So one thing to be remembered very much here is even the gross body is destroyed. Please remember this particular point. The subtle body is not going to be destroyed. How many ever bodies you change, the subtle body remains same. The mind, intelligence and false ego will remain same. These three subtle bodies will be carried down to you for the next life. You may be getting another human form. There also the same mind, body, intelligence. Whatever you have reposited, stored in your mind, the same thing will be carried forward. The desires what you keep in your mind, that will carry forward to the next life. So ultimately where we have to work? We have to work on the gross body or subtle body? Subtle body. So we have to work on the subtle body based on that. So next body you would be getting based upon the desires and the karma you have. So first thing we have understood, root cause for suffering is attachment. So this is a beautiful analogy again given in the Shastras, that a beautiful lady is actually maintaining a gold cage and she is maintaining a singing parrot in the cage. So what she does is every single day she beautifully polishes the golden cage and she forgets to feed the parrot inside. So a few days later what happens is the parrot becomes weaker and then finally dies. And this insane queen blames God that I have taken care of the cage very beautifully, very nicely, but you didn't help me to protect the parrot. So who has to be blamed? Who has to be? God has to be blamed. If you are not taking care of parrot is nothing but our soul. So soul will be happy when we connect back to the Lord, when we connect to the Krishna. But instead of that, what we are doing in a present day, in present life, we are actually totally engrossed in taking care of the gross body. We are hardly aware of the subtle bodies, and we are hardly aware of taking care of the subtle bodies. So with this point of body and soul, we come to a beautiful another point is reincarnation. So I know this is a bit philosophical, and then but bear with us that we are going to discuss beautiful things. So reincarnation, like how we told, any sane man can say that now once you are changing, we discussed that in the present life itself we are changing so many bodies. So after that, by seeing this itself, we can understand that after we are going to die, when this body is taken away, we are going to get another body. So there is definitely a reincarnation is there. And how do we say that in a logical understanding? In our common language also, whenever somebody dies, how do we communicate? How do you say that? So you say that he left us or he passed away. He passed away means the body is there only. Who passed? So it is very clearly understood. With the logical, in any language you say, you take, they would never say that body has passed away. It is clearly said in every language. It is common sense. You understand that he passed away. Who passed away? Body is still there, but passed away is the soul part. So in logically also, in day-to-day communication also, it is very clearly we can see that there is something beyond this body is soul. So there is a real life examples, many real life examples. Often we see that a child is born in some place, she is talking some different language, then we will identify that she is previous life she is born in there. There are so many researches happen, so many scientists also prove that reincarnation is there and people take rebirth. So, and second reason for cause of suffering is attitude of comparison. Right? We have this attitude of comparison. All the time we compare. So this particular slide you can see a person who don't have legs to walk. He sees a person who is walking on the road, how he can walk on his legs. And a person who is walking on the road, he thinks that wish I had a bike or I wish I had a cycle. I lost my bus, again I have to walk all the way. So he thinks a cycle having person is a better. What does a cycle holding person thinks that wish I had a car. See how I'm tiring, I'm running the vehicle, I'm running the bicycle and I'm sweating. All the pollution is there around. Wish if I had a car, I would have had my journey very luxuriously. So a person who is traveling in the car, he thinks that he sees to the car who is having a high-end car. He says that see this particular car. My car is a very basic model. If I had that car, I would have another facilities like, I would have gone much more faster. One second. So a person who is traveling in a much high-end car, he sees another high-end car. He looks at the Jeep and he says that wow, what a heavy robust vehicle. If I had, I would have had a good name in the girls and all. So a person who is riding in that bike car, he would say a Lamborghini and says, wish I had this car. How I can never dream of this car. So this is, a person who is standing in this Lamborghini car, he thinks that wish I had my own private jet. So there is no end to the desires. There is no end, There is one saying, if a person, even if the whole earth is given to us, we would ask, can you give me the moon also? So there is no end to the desires. So last time we were discussing, lust is something, uncontrollable, strong desires. So strong desires for sense gratification. Today we may be in one position, but we always think of the other, next level. So there is no end for this. So attitude of comparison, we always compare ourselves with the next person to us. So why? Actually comparison is a very bad thing, All of us are unique. Can we compare an apple to an orange? Orange is an orange and apple is an apple. We have to compare orange to orange, apple to apple. Does anybody here are of same? No, all of us are unique human beings. That is what, each one of has a different single fingerprints. Each one of has a unique pupil. That's how the biometrics are designed, right? So each one of us unique. You cannot compare ourselves with anyone. The comparison has to be done for ourselves. I have to compare myself. Today I am this, and a year later I have to grow to another level. So if I have to compare myself. 5 years back I was like this. 5 years after I am like this. So comparison has to be done to an orange to orange and apple to apple. Always remember, we all are unique. We are no single individual. Even twins, the fraternary twins or the identical twins, they are also not same. They have different, like we mentioned, the scientists mentioned, right? The fingerprints, the pupils are different. So they are not common. So here a beautiful story comes in where Lord Rama, when he was, when they have searched for, when they identified that Sita is there in the Lanka, and then they are building the Setu, Rama Setu or the bridge. Every one was of them are helping. All the monkeys were bringing big stones and they were constructing the bridge. Each one of us doing their, each one of them are doing their own service. At the same time, a small squirrel was actually, pushing the sand onto the bridge, and Hanuman was a little annoyed. Not actually, his concern was like, what if this big tiny animal comes 100 feet? So it's actually not doing anything. It is actually disturbing my work. So he chastises the squirrel. Then Rama sees this and then says that, everyone's service is unique. Everyone are equal. You are doing your service according to your capacity, and the squirrel is also doing its capacity. I am equal to everyone. You see, Lord, the moral of this particular story is, you need to understand that we have to put our best effort to satisfy. Whenever the work we are doing, there should not be comparison. There should not be any, superior complexity or inferior complexity. Whatever is my best ability, I'll perform. So when we put a best effort and our talent, based upon our talent, big or small, whatever we are doing, don't think that if this person is, doing something great, he is, Lord will be seeing him more. I am nothing, I am doing nothing, so Lord will not say no. Krishna here says clearly that based upon your talent and ability, whatever you are doing, your best effort you are keeping, I am equal to everyone. I am pleased with that. So Lord is most pleased with the love and care who show for him and for each other. So he appreciates whatever little effort you are taking to do his service to him and his dear devotees. So yeah, like we discussed, attitude of comparison. What wrong with the comparison is, you develop superior complexity. Sometimes, you see some people which are little lesser than you. You feel, I am doing more. I am great. In this way, what happens is your overconfidence level increases, and Lord doesn't like that. And inferiority complex. Somebody is doing great service. Oh, I'm waste. I'm useless. I'm no one to do this. So don't compare. So compare is the one which causes suffering to you. And don't have unrealistic ambitions in life. And you have to do your best whenever you are giving. So whenever you are doing a duty, no other intention for the duty. The intention behind the duty should be, I should be satisfying my mind. Whatever I am doing, I should be happy out of it. So that is the second problem for our suffering is comparison. Now the last part of this section is causing of suffering is doing wrong. How do we do wrong? The key reasons for doing wrong is given in Bhagavad Gita itself. Krishna says, ध्यायते विषयान् पुंसान् संगस्तेषु पजायते संगात् संजायते कामाः कामात् क्रोधो विजायते. When contemplating on the object of senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment lust develops, and from lust anger arises. So very beautifully, you don't know, there are different stages of fall down. Why and when we do wrong, Krishna explains clearly in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 62 shloka, where he says that, first of all, how do you develop a desire? You just see a sense object. You just see that sense object and you start contemplating. You see a beautiful, for example, you see a beautiful car, and then you just contemplate on that. Wow, that car is so beautiful. Wish I had that. Wish I had that. Over again. It's just an example. Everyone has their own sense object of contemplation. What happens is when you contemplate slowly, it becomes you get an attachment to that. A point comes in where in life you think that yeah, I should do it, I should get it out at time. So that the contemplation now became a desire, and you have got an attachment. And again, when you are seriously thinking about that, you get that attachment comes into the mode of lust. Lust we discussed, right? An intense, strong obsession to fulfill a desire. So when that lust is unfulfilled, what happens is we get anger. Anybody who comes in between the sense object and between our desire, that person becomes a permanent enemy to us. So we get anger. So in the immediate next sloka says, these are the 4 stages. There are 8 stages of fall down. Now first stage we discussed is, you just see the sense object, contemplation happens. Contemplation, when you contemplate, attachment comes lust comes anger. These are the 4 stages. Again, what happens when anger comes? After krododhavati sammoha smriti vipramaha smriti bhramshat buddhinasha pranashyati. So here, from anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory, and when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one fall down into a material pool. So again, next stage, Krishna says that once, what happens is when you are completely anger, you get confused, you're totally confused. Bewildered means a delusion, a kind of a delusion. You don't know what is right and wrong. When you are in a delusion state, you lose the intelligence. Intelligence is the one which we discussed, the deciding factor. What is good, what is bad, is the one which intelligence tells to us. But when you are bewildered, when in anger, when you are confused state, you lose the intelligence. What does that mean? You forget what is right and wrong. We all experience it, that when we are angry, we forget everything. When we get angered on a person, we forget what all good he has done to us in our life, right? Just that moment is only anger. Somehow I have to punish him, or somehow I have to take my revenge. You forget what all good things he has done for you in entire life. For that moment, at that moment of anger, when that anger phase passes off, then you will come back to a normal stage. You think, why did I do this? Right? We all understood. So we all have gone through this. Anger will completely confuses you, or you lose the intelligence. And when you lose the intelligence, you lose the ability to decide what is right and wrong. And you become insane. Insane in the sense you are completely in the mad state. Mad state means I have to take my revenge at any cost. That is. So when that you are in that particular state, you start doing the social crimes, the robbery, suicide, murder, rape, what all things we are seeing is the reason for this. So this is the stages of fall down. Krishna beautifully says that 8 stages are there to fall down. What not only problem he says, in immediate shloka he says in 2.66, he says how, what is the solution for this? Nasti buddhir ayuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavanaha nacha bhavyate shantir ashanti kutas sukham. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be a happiness without a peace? So Krishna very clearly saying, so if you are not connected to me, if you are not connected to Lord, if you are not connected to Krishna, what happens is you will never able to get the transcendental intelligence. And when there is no transcendental intelligence, you cannot study your mind. You cannot fix your mind. So without which, when you don't have a mind, when you don't have a peace of mind, there is no possibility. There is no possibility of peace for you. So what happens is, when there is no peace, how can you expect a happiness? When there is shanti, then only the happiness comes. So far we have seen, we feel that, happiness, sometimes we are not actually happy in the present state. What happiness is sometimes, temporary relief. We are having so many sufferings, and out of that you would, for a time being, you will have a temporary relief. At that temporary relief phase, you feel happiness. But real happiness is there when, when you have a steady mind, when you have a calm peace of mind, and intelligence is steady, and everything, you are connected to the Lord. That's why, when you go to temples, or when you connect yourself when you come into the association of a devotees, you feel that, that peace of mind, that calmness within you, and you like to come to that. Why? That is nature of the soul. Soul actually looking for that, that connectivity with the Lord. So Krishna is saying, if you are not going to connect with me, you are not going to get this. So what you have to do is you have to train mind. So how do you train your mind? Chant, read, hearing about Krishna. And when you do this, your mind gets steady mind, and you get peace, and you get happiness. So when on this path, Krishna says that neha vikrama nashosti pratyavyayana vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayato mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous types of fear. So we were mentioning that we have to work on the subtle bodies, right? We discussed that how much ever effort you put for your gross body, it is not going to stay. One day or the other day, it is going to become old, it is going to die. So what you have to work? You have to work on the subtle bodies, mind, intelligence and false ego. Now how you have to work on? In scriptures it is that mind, to control the mind you have to chant. You only have to take, all the time you have to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. When we chant, what happens is your mind gets controlled. And to nourish the intelligence, you have to read the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So when you read these scriptures, your intelligence gets nourished. And when the intelligence is strong, it can control the mind. Until and unless the intelligence is not strong, you cannot control the mind. And false ego. So false ego, how to control the false ego? So you need the association of the devotees. So you have to come to the association of the devotees, you have to do service. So false ego is what? Ahankara. I am, I am, I am, I am. So that I am will go when you are in the association of a devotees, when you humbly do some service. Take some service, and when we do that service, we can control the false ego. So these are the three things which you have to work on your subtle bodies. One, for the mind you have to do chanting. For the intelligence you have to read the scriptures. And for the false ego you have to be in the association of the devotees and do service. To curb the false ego, it's always you have to do some service. And then when you see, everybody can, why I should come into the association of it? Now that I got knowledge, I would nicely sit and chant. Lord saying chanting. I am not doing anybody to harm. I am not doing any harm. I am reading scriptures and chanting. Why I should take association of the devotees? Right? So we have to purify this. False ego will get curbed in the association of. Now, when you are in the association of devotees, they would ask to do some service. And when you come together and do service, Mataji, this is not right. This is not wrong. What you are doing is. And that time my ego hurts. I am the super one. I am the one who cooks very best in my home. And here I am being said that you are not cooking well. Right? So automatically what happened? My ego gets hurt. So when you are in service, okay, yeah, there is something more I have to learn. This is how I have to do this service. So the false ego gets slowly comes into the real ego, realness. The service when you do, it actually curbs the false ego. So these are the three things you have to always remember. You have to work on the subtle bodies, and how to work on the subtle bodies we have discussed. And Krishna clearly mentioning in the second chapter, 40th shloka, there is no loss in this endeavor. Very important point. Krishna is promising to you, nobody promises. Krishna is very strongly promising that there is no loss in this endeavor. You may be studying double PhD in this present life. Once you die, again you have to start from ABCD, right or wrong? Next level when you are taking, you have to start from ABCD again. Now double PhD won't work there. In the material world, this is the fact. Even if you are doing triple PhD or how much ever you may be CEO, next time when you are taking birth, again you have to go from the KG class and then you have to do it. Krishna is saying the spiritual endeavor, even if you take a little step, if for your destination, if you have to take 1,000 steps, and somehow with the Sukriti you have come to the spiritual path and you have taken one step, hardly some more progress you have done. At least in this life you have reached to 10 steps and you have died. Next life you would get a facility where that you can continue from the 11th step. It's not from one step again. So Krishna is all the time, remember that Krishna is very much eager to come back, to take us back to his abode. So if we take a little endeavor, we take one step, he comes 100 steps. So here he is clearly mentioning Neha Vikrama Nashosti. There is no loss in this endeavor. You do, even if you take one little step, you are progressed. Out of 100 steps, you have already covered one step. So it's still 99 are there, 999 are there. And then you will continue your journey from there. So always remember there is no loss. Even how much ever bhakti you are doing in the present life, next life, even if you are lost, you have stopped, next life on, you will be continuing from there. You will be facilitated to proceed from there. Not that you will come back to zero again. So we have addressed the root cause of suffering, the three issues, attachment to the temporary things, especially with the body. So right now we are at the present state, we are completely attached to the body. So remove the attachment to the body, attachment to the Krishna. Krishna is the permanent. He is Sachidananda Vigraha. He is already there. He is always there eternally. And he reciprocates according to your reciprocation to him. So in this present world, if you love someone, we all the time have a complaint that why that person is not loving me the way I love. Like I told, comparison, you are an apple and he is an orange. You cannot compare. Orange should be loving me apple. The way I love apple, he should also, you're understanding, right? Then orange and apple, you cannot compare both. He has his own way and you are your own way. And a lot of expectations in the relationship. And when those expectations are not met, we are completely dissatisfied. But this doesn't happen. This is the case with the people in the material world. But when you connect to the Krishna, you will be completely satisfied. The way you want to be loved, he loves you that way. The way you want to be taken care, he takes care of that. So attachment, remove the attachment to the temporary things, especially to the body, work on the permanent. Keep attachment. Attachment is not wrong. Attachment is wrong when it is to the temporary things. When you attach yourself to the permanent thing, that is Krishna, you will not be in loss. Comparison creates unnecessary anxieties. We have discussed that. Uncontrolled sense objects will drive us insane. So, before we go to the practical tip of the day, we'll just have a story time. We'll just see a small story for Krishna if we have. I know we are 10 minutes ahead. I think this is 5 minutes past. Give me 5 minutes, I'll close this. So, last 2 classes we heard about the story of peacock. We heard the story of a cow. So today we'll hear about the naughty Krishna story. Krishna is very famous for his naughtiness in Vrindavan. Everyone are complaining about his naughtiness to Yashodama. So Yashoda Mataji says to all the gopis, why my Krishna would actually come and eat your butter and milk? Because I myself have 9 lakh cows and I myself have prepare butter and milk for my khana. Why would he come? So she says that don't just simply degrade him. You catch him red-handedly and bring him. Then only I will accept that. So Krishna is also very naughty in the sense, Vrajvasi, right? So all the gopis would come and complain. So he says that they'll say that he's eating all our butter. He's doing all mischief things in our home. So Krishna says, Yashoda Ma turns to Krishna and says, तुमने खाना खाया? So he says, मैया हम नहीं खाया, मैंने नहीं खाया, मैं नहीं खाया, he says. And Yashoda Mata turns to the gopis and see, my Lalla is saying that मैं नहीं खाया, he is saying that मैं नहीं खाया. So he turns, he pops his head from behind her mother and says to God, मैं नहीं खाया. So he's such naughty, he's such let's not be. He says to mother, Mainehi Kaya. When he turns to gopis, Mainehi Kaya. So what you will do? So that kind of a naughtiness. So she says, red-handedly you catch hold of Krishna and bring to me. That time I will see. So one time, one gopi does what she thinks is that she plants an idea that I should tie all the bells. So whenever Krishna is famous to be called as a black cat. You know, he comes like his kana, he is dark in color. Right? So they call him as a black cat. So how cat comes very, we don't even know how it enters into our kitchen and drinks of all milk. So he does his job very perfectly, very nicely, very silently. So we don't know, so we have to catch hold of him. So what she thinks that we have to tie bells. So she ties bells to all the things. She ties door, she ties bells to the table, she ties bells to the butter pots, milk pots, everything. So that whenever Kana touches anything, it should will ring. So Krishna comes with his friends and sees everywhere bells are tied. Oh, he thinks that, oh, this gopi has planted, so let's see what she will do. So he says to all those bells, don't ring. I'm giving an order, don't ring. So all the bells keep silent. So he nicely enters. He takes, he puts tables and then he climbs on that table, he gets butter and everything. He drinks, he gives milk and butter to all his friends. He distributes all of them will nicely eat. One of the friend would feel that Krishna is not eating, so he'll take butter and put in his mouth. At the moment, all the bells will loudly ring. And Krishna gets angry. I told not to ring. How come you are ringing? So the bells would say, how can we stop when bhoga is happening to you? When bhoga is happening, we should ring. So that's why when we are eating, we have that. So then the gopi comes and catches. And this whole beautiful, sweet pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. And all these gopis, just for mere complain, they don't want to complain, but that is a kind of enjoyment. That is the time. In Vrindavan, it is said that nobody talks anything else other than Krishna. It is said that if two gopis come together means they talk about Krishna. See, Krishna came to my home and did this. He broke these many butter pots. He drank so much milk. See, they talk only this. So to get that ecstasy, to talk that, they actually for the sake of complaining, but their internal feeling is like, when would Krishna come to my home? When would he still? Otherwise, everything belongs to Krishna. He don't need anything. The gopis are desiring that way. So he should come and he should take from our home. So he is fulfilling that desire. So that's the beautiful pastime of Krishna from Vrindavan. So yeah, tip for the day. How to overcome the sufferings we discussed. So yeah, perform our own duties to the best of our ability. Don't compare yourself. Don't develop superiority or inferiority complex. Don't have unrealistic ambitions. Be satisfied with whatever result is achieved. Duty is meant for satisfaction of mind, not to prove anything to this world. We can protect from suffering by regular chanting, reading, hearing about Krishna and the association of his devotees. These are the tips. So before we go to chanting, any questions, comments, reflections? Yes, Mataji.
You said that deer has a tendency that when he hears music, he gets attracted and due to that reason he gets killed. So why God has designed deer like that? Doesn't he has those catty ears, or why it is like that?
See, again, Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas, Indriyas are there for every animal, every one of us are there. But now higher intelligence, what is right, what is wrong, can be decided when you have this higher intelligence and consciousness.
Yeah,
So,
he doesn't have the consciousness.
animals basically, not only fire. We have given the example of fire moth. We have given the example of bumblebee. We have given the example of fish. They are, the lower consciousness and how they get succumbed by their weaknesses. If our consciousness and given by human beings, we are having a higher consciousness, we have a rational thinking, we have the ability to decide what is right and wrong.
If God has not given that consciousness, then what is the deer's fault?
This part is, it's, we cannot say, what is right or wrong. Here, the discussion point, what we are saying is how that deer is getting, see, at the end of the day, jivo jivasya jivaha. So, an animal is dependent in this material world. Everyone is to sustain, they have to depend on the other creature. Like we are depending upon the plants. Similarly, animals are, animals also dependent on the plants. So we cannot say that, why it's fault. It's not. That's the weakness of that particular animal. Because of which they are mating. This is an example we have to set as, one animal weakness, how it can lead to destruction, because its only weakness is for that particular indriya, only one particular sense, it is getting destroyed. For us, in our case, all our senses are very active. Now how much we will get distracted? Just one billboard, one advertisement, this would make us, we started purchase. And all our senses, all these advertisements what we see are capturing our indriyas only, our weak points. So unless and until you don't have a steady knowledge, you cannot conquer those indriyas. Have I answered? Any questions or reflections? If no questions, can we go ahead for the chanting? So since, before going to chanting, since this is a third class, I would take a privilege to say this particular point to how to chant. When we are chanting, Mataji showed how to chant on the beats, but when we are chanting, how should be our consciousness? The scriptures or the acharyas say that when you are chanting, the mind would wander. The moment you say Hare, you start getting different thoughts. And the moment after the chanting finish, when you are on the final beat, then you will remember that I am on chanting. I should focus. So that strong, that wavery is our chanting, our mind. So when you are chanting, focus on the hearing. Focus on your hearing and then louder so that you can hear it out. So mantra means you are controlling your mind through chanting. So focus on the sound vibration what you are doing. And we would request, because since we are continuously attending from 3 sessions, we would request you to get your own personal beads. The personal beads are available here, and you start doing it in your home also. Not that we do it here only. Start doing it in your home also. Start with one round doing in your home. Beads and bead bag. Beads are always should be kept in a clean place. We should not keep it down, or we should not take the beads to the uncleanly places. So always protect your beads in a bead bag. So we have a bead and bead bag available in our gift shop. You can purchase it from there. Also Bhagavad Gita. Who all have Bhagavad Gita? Who don't have? Yeah, would request. Bhagavad Gita is a life science book to us. It's a kind of a manual. Acharyas say that Bhagavad Gita is a manual to us. Everyone should have this particular manual with us. Every single day we have to read with this knowledge. The other day Mataji was asking a question. We keep forgetting. The knowledge. So as long as we are there in the association, this 1 hour, you feel very joy. The moment you leave this particular class, we'll forget all the knowledge we have received. So keep practicing. So Bhagavad Gita is a manual. We should have that book. And not only having that book, we should read that book. We should read in the presence of association of the devotees. So get a copy of Bhagavad Gita of your own, and request you, if you can get from the class next sessions also, it would be good. So Mataji, you are going to say about chanting. Chanting is, again, we discussed in this particular slide, it shows that is a yuga dharma. Every yuga has a dharma. Dharma means the thing which you have to follow. Okay, so here this particular slide says that Satya Yuga meditation. So when you meditate on the Lord on Satya Yuga, that's the time where you would attain Lord Krishna. You would attain Krishna. In Satya Yuga, to attain Krishna, to reach Krishna, you have to meditate for thousands of years. During that time, the people's lifespan is also in lakhs. Every person used to live 10 lakh years, like that. That was the lifespan of Satya Yuga people. That's why meditation was prescribed for them. In Treta Yuga, you have to perform sacrifices, fire offerings, ghee offerings, and if you do more yajnas, the more. So that was the Yuga Dharma, to reach to the Lord. And in Dwapar Yuga, serving the lotus feet. Okay. And in Kali Yuga, our lifespan is very less. Our mind is very fickle. We cannot fix our mind. So Krishna has given very simple. Even Devatas would say that, wish I get one's life in Kali Yuga, so that I can quickly reach to the Krishna. Because chanting is the most easiest thing. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it very simple for us, that there is no restriction that you have to do it only. Whenever you are sitting idle, you can chant. Then also you can take the names of the Lord. So Yuga Dharma for this Kali Yuga is chanting Maha Mantra. So Harer Nama Eva Kevalam Kalau Nasti Nasti Eva Yatiranyataha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Iti Sodashakanam Kalikalmashanashanam. The 16 names composed of 32 syllables are the only means to counteract the evil effects of Kali Yuga. Natarah Parataro Sarva Vedeshu Drishyati. Even in all the Vedas, you turn left and right, see across the oceans of the nescience, there is no alternative to chanting of the holy name. So every scripture is saying in the Kali Yuga, you have to take the names of the Lord. So why only many names of the Lords are there? Why Hare Krishna mantra? Because this is prescribed in Kali Santarana Upanishad. So where it is said that you have to take Hare Krishna Maha mantra to get delivered in the Kali Yuga, to reach to the Lord. So let's do our chanting. Mataji, can you explain? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Beautifully explained the meaning of Hare Krishna Maha mantra and importance. Every week we are chanting, so now today we got to know how much important it is to chant Hare Krishna and how much easy you can chant Hare Krishna and hear the names of the Lord. So you all are coming week after week, so sincere devotees of Krishna, so she very much pleased with you all. So we'll move forward to chanting. So you all might be knowing already. So this is the beat bag, right? So we will hold like this. And this is the Krishna beat. We will chant the Panchatattva Mahamantra. So it will be displayed there. And then after that, we have to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on each beat. So once you complete one Mahamantra, then you can pull the beat towards. Right? So like this, you will go on chanting. And then once we reach the end where we started, then that is the end of one round. And you should not touch this index finger, because Krishna don't like it. Pointing out to like you're this tum. So Krishna don't like that. So that's why we don't point out this. We don't touch the beads also. Beads are so clean. So the only one thing is when we are chanting, we just hear Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we'll
Thank
start.
you. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna